Dear seekers, I am extremely happy to be here with you. I am extremely happy to be at this center. This center is called the Third Eye Center. I used to give a short talk on the third eye. I used to invoke the third eyes of all the seekers here. Therefore, I used to make a fervent request to all of you, if it is possible, and if you want to invoke the third eye, there is a special way to invoke the third eye, and that is to chant Om. This is, we have 6 major centers. The third eye, each center has a secret and sacred seed name. Third eye has the secret and sacred seed name. Seed name is Om. Before I give a short talk, I wish the seekers to join me to chant Om 3 times. Om is a Sanskrit word. It is actually a syllable. It is the combination of 3 letters, A-U-M. A represents God the Creator. U represents God the Preserver. M represents God the Transformer. There was a time when the seekers felt that God the Creator needed God the Preserver, and God the Preserver, when necessity demanded, would need God the Destroyer. But in the spiritual process of evolution, the seekers of the highest magnitude have discovered that God does not destroy, He only transforms anything that is unlit, obscure, impure in us, transforms it into purity, beauty, and divinity. So, when we chant Om, we at once invoke God the Creator, God the Preserver, and God the Transformer. The third eye is located between the eyebrows, a little above. This is the place. This eye is also called the commanding eye. It commands. It commands our past, immediate future, and distant future. Or you can say past, present, and future is at its command, is the commanding eye. The third eye, when it envisions the past, it feels, it sees the beginning of humanity's evolution. And then when it enters into the present, into the immediacy of today, it sees the capacity and receptivity of humanity. And then when it enters into the near or distant future, it sees not only the possibility or practicability, but the inevitability of humanity's progress, perfection, and satisfaction. There are quite a few ways one can open up the third eye by following quite a few ways. But two significant ways are the prayer and the concentration. If one soulfully prays to the Absolute Lord in order to open up the third eye, the Lord Supreme opens up the third eye. Or if one concentrates on the third eye soulfully, devotedly, and consciously, then one can open up third eye. But I must say that here the seeker has to depend 99% on the divine grace. Otherwise, the sincere effort one cannot make. Although one wants to become sincere, sincerity does not come to the fore all at once. It takes very, very long time. Therefore, in spite of being insincere, the seeker can open up the third eye. Here, sincerity means absolute oneness with God's will. There are some seekers who have opened up or opened before the third eye by, say, virtue of a dynamic will. But unfortunately, they have not purified the vital. When the third eye is open without having a purified vital, the third eye creates tremendous problem for us. The impurity of the vital enters into our vision, and then it blinds our divine heavenly vision, and it compels the human being at times to act like a mad elephant. The third eye, for the sincere seekers, advanced seekers, and the seekers who have totally surrendered to God's will, is a veritable blessing. If a seeker of that type has opened up his third eye, then this third eye is a great boon. But if the seeker has still earthly desires to be fulfilled, then it is nothing but a curse. There are many seekers who have made considerable progress before the third eye was opened. And then, when the third eye is opened, on the strength of their eagerness, not on the strength of their surrender to God's will, their progress stops almost immediately. Somebody wants to know the past. He has seen his past. He sees that in his past life he was an atheist. Despondency assails him. He feels if he was not even a believer of God, how could he realize God in this incarnation? I must say that the opening of third eye does not determine God realization at all. Some people may think that if the third eye is open, that means he is realized. No. Third eye can see the face of God, but it does not indicate that complete oneness with God is established. If the past was not satisfactory, the third eye can create problem for the seeker. And if the present, the immediate present, the distant future is not promising, the seeker will be doomed to disappointment. And if the distant future is threatening and frightening, and the third eye may create tremendous problem. When the third eye is open, in accordance with God's will, no matter what the seeker did in the past, no matter what is going to happen today or tomorrow, no matter what will be happening, what will take place in the distant future, the seeker will not be affected. For God's will illumine him, perfect him, liberate him, and immortalize him. The easiest and the safest way to become aware of God's will is to become aware of the heart center. If one opens up the heart center first, then he becomes inseparably one with God's will. At that time, if his third eye is opened up, he cannot make any mistake. He, his past, his present or future cannot create any problem for him. The happenings of the holy past or the immediate present or the ultimate future can no longer create any problem for him, for he becomes inseparably one with God's universal vision and transcendental reality. Inside God's universal vision and God's transcendental reality, all the things that he sees, feels, and grows into can be perfectly housed without any problem whatsoever. Some of you may be curious to know what actually happens before the third eye opens. Before the third eye actually opens up, the seeker feels a kind of sensation on the third eye. In the beginning, the seeker may feel a tiny ant, sensation of a tiny ant moving around. A few days or a few months later, the seeker inwardly will envision a disc. It rotates from the left to the right. And when it starts rotating very fast from the left to the right, it changes its motion from the right to the left. Then it rotates from left to right, right to left. And once, after a few months, a few years, you may notice that a fully illumined sun, like a bright sun midday, noon, you see the sun in the forehead. This sun indicates the total opening of the third eye. Once the third eye is opened up, the infinite vast, the eternal height, the immeasurable depth, you can see inside the third eye. You can see yourself as the seed of the entire creation. You can see yourself as the tree of the entire creation. You can see yourself as the fruit of the entire creation. Seed is the past, and the tree is the present, and the fruit is the future. There are some spiritual masters who tell their students that it is not advisable to open up the third eye. What is of paramount importance is right from the beginning to surrender to God's will. If so is the will of God, God will grant the vision which He Himself is. If God wants to give vision to a certain seeker, He will grant. Why? Just because He wants to make a perfect instrument of that person. The hour has struck. But if a seeker untimely pulls the reality or the vision reality of the third eye, it will create tremendous disaster for the seeker. On the one hand, the third eye is the eye of illumination for the sincere seekers. On the other hand, for the curiosity mongers, the third eye is nothing but temptation. The third eye, I mean the opening of the third eye. Third eye is like a toy that a child plays with. Then, after a few years, he gives up, does not play with toys anymore. He studies for knowledge. He prays and meditates for inner wisdom. Here, the seeker, after he has played for a few years with the third eye, the toy, he wants to acquire infinite wisdom light. This wisdom light he gets on the strength of his constant surrender to God's will and by virtue of his inmost cry. The third eye can see the past, present and future. It can command also the past, the present to do something, but it cannot change humanity's cry into divinity's smile. We see something, but we don't have the capacity to change it. If you can't change it, then it remains imperfect. But if we see something and have the capacity to perfect it, then it is worth seeing. But if one has discovered himself, has realized the highest truth, then if he sees something and if it needs perfection, then he can perfect it. So it is the self-discovery that can be of real help to the third eye. When the third eye observes something and it needs perfection, and the third eye gets the necessary help from the self-discovery. Two earthly eyes, human eyes, are side by side together, but they cannot see each other. Here there are two eyes, one cannot see the other. Why? Because of the limitations, because of the bondage that each eye embodies the nearest thing it cannot observe. But if we stand in front of a mirror, then we at once see both the eyes at our sweet will, and we see how one helps the other. Similarly, when we stand in front of our highest reality, God, and see God with our third eye, then only the life, human life, reaches its acme, perfection. Otherwise, the third eye will see that it will not offer any satisfactory result, abiding satisfaction to the seekers of the ultimate truth. But if it sees God, if it sees infinite truth, light, and if it can embody all the time God's divine presence, and if it can feel God's universal reality inside its vision, then only the perfection of the opening of the third eye takes place. Now I wish to answer a few spiritual questions. I wish to be of dedicated service to all of you, but I wish to make a sincere request to you that I shall accept only spiritual questions in your life of aspiration. If you have any question, please ask me. I shall be of devoted service to your life of aspiration. Spiritual question, please. Would you kindly raise your hand? Reincarnation. There are some people who believe in reincarnation while others don't believe. In my case, I do believe in reincarnation. I believe in reincarnation for various reasons, but the most important reason is this, that in one incarnation, one cannot achieve everything or the highest thing. Suppose you had a desire at the age of 4, and that desire may take 40 or 50 years for its fulfillment. An ordinary earthly human desire can take 40, 50 years before it is fulfilled. Now this is the world of desire. Here we are dealing with the world of aspiration. Aspiration deals with infinity, eternity, and immortality. So if one wants to realize the infinite consciousness within him, or the eternal reality within him, or the immortal vision within him, naturally it will take many, many years. Therefore, the seeker will need quite a few incarnations. Now, each incarnation is a forward march. It is like a rung of a ladder, spiritual ladder. Each incarnation for a seeker is a great opportunity to realize the highest, to reveal the highest, and to manifest the highest. Each incarnation is an opportunity, and it is through the process of reincarnation that we ultimately reach our ultimate destination. Next, please.
You go through the emotion to the spirit.
Excuse me?
You go through the emotion to the spirit.
Do we go through the emotion?
You go through the emotion to the spirit.
Yes, now there are two types of emotion. One is earthbound emotion, where attachment looms large, where we hear the song of possession, emotion that wants to possess and that wants to be possessed. There is another type of emotion. It is a liberated emotion, heaven-free emotion. It is I belong to God. He is infinite, He is eternal, He is immortal. It does not become me. It is beneath my dignity to wallow in the pleasures of ignorance, to mix with ignorance, falsehood. No. So that emotion is divine emotion. Here we identify ourselves with the eternal, with the infinite, with the immortal. And if we are one with infinity, eternity, and immortality, then there are millions of things we can't do, we won't do, because it is simply impossible for us to do. We have taken the side of light, and we cannot change and go and take the side of ignorance. And so, emotion that is heaven-free, that is to say, the emotion that makes us free, liberated, and vast is good. But the emotion that is attached to the outer life, to the human feelings, and where attachment is constantly playing its role deliberately, that emotion is not the emotion that should be encouraged, but the other emotion which is founded on oneness with something vast, something illumining and fulfilling, that emotion one has to welcome, for that is the right way. I am God's child. How can I do this? I am God's child. I must do this. He is waiting for me. As I need Him, He also needs Him. He also needs me. I need Him because I need illumination. He needs me for His manifestation. Therefore we need each other. Here oneness is seen oneness of will. With my will, oneness will, I will realize my highest, which He Himself is. And then, with His will, He will try to manifest Himself in and through me. That is my instrument. God will say that it is I as a seeker is His instrument. And I will say, I as a seeker, His instrument. So, the emotion that is divine, the emotion that liberates us or brings us the message of vastness, oneness with each and every individual, is the divine emotion. And that devotion is emotion is necessary to reach one's destination.
You frequently talk in your work about listening to the inner voice and following the dictates of the inner voice. How can you be sure that it is the inner voice of truth that you are listening to and not the inner voice of the delusions of the ego? How can you distinguish?
Yes. If it is the real inner voice, then you will feel a kind of satisfaction within you. Now, this satisfaction you will get from the result of an incident or an action. But if you feel the result, if the result is satisfactory, that's why you are getting satisfaction. If the result is not satisfactory, you will not be satisfied, and that is not the inner voice. An inner voice will give you a message, and then inside that message, there will be action and reaction, or action or the result thereof. Now the result will be either in the form of success or failure. But if you can take both success and failure, whatever will come, with the same type of cheerfulness, then it is the inner voice that you are getting. Otherwise, sometimes it will be mental hallucination, vital delusion. You are getting the inner voice. If it is satisfactory to your desire, then you will say that it is the inner voice. And if it does not if it does not fulfill your vital demands, you will immediately discard it. No, if it is the message of the inner voice will give you the necessary strength to be cheerful, both the results. Results will come in one form, either in the failure or success, and you will be able to identify yourself with the failure to such an extent that failure itself is not a failure, it will be an experience. And if it is a success, you will identify yourself with success, not as something to boast or to glorify yourself, but it is an experience that God wants to give you. So, if you are able to assimilate the results in a divine way, and from the results you are able to proceed onward towards your destination, ultimate goal, then it is the inner voice, the dictate of the inner voice. Otherwise, it is like working, it is like the action of an opportunist. You are waiting only for the opportunity. If it is satisfactory, you accept it. If it is dissatisfactory, unsatisfactory, then you discard it, reject it. That will be wrong. Inner voice only fulfills God's will. The inner voice is the messenger. It only brings the messages directly from above, and whatever the message is brought down by the inner voice, the seeker must accept it cheerfully and soulfully. then the seeker is bound to know that it is from the highest authority the messages come down. So if one really loves the highest authority, no matter what the authority gives, one has to be satisfied with it. But that is the only way to become inseparable with the highest authority, the author of all good.
Is there a true and false illumination?
Yes, there is false illumination, true illumination. If it is true illumination, if it is real illumination, then one is bound to have universal oneness with God's entire universe, if it is proper illumination. But if it is false illumination, then one will see oneself as the only reality, and the rest of the world will be to him a false reality. He is the only one who has got illumination or who has realized the truth, and nobody else has seen it, or nobody else has been illumined. Then there is false illumination. True illumination is with all, for all, inside all. But false illumination is only the satisfaction of one's own vital. I am the only possessor, the rest are all beggars. I have everything, the rest are all beggars. That is false illumination. Here one is aggrandizing one's ego, whereas when one sees oneself inside everyone and sees that everybody is inside him and he is inside everyone, that is universal oneness, that is true illumination without fail.